Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And with all that's going on in Black America, I hope that you are still in good spirits and things are going well in your life. Well, as you know, today is Memorial Day, which was originally known as Decoration Day. It's a federal holiday honoring and mourning the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. It is observed on the last Monday of May. Memorial Day is also considered the unofficial beginning of summer in the United States. Memorial Day is different from Veterans Day in that on Veterans Day, we celebrate all of the servicemen and women of the United States military. But on Memorial Day, we mourn the loss of these men and women. Many of you, I'm sure, served in the United States military. Two of my brothers served, several cousins served in the United States military. And so I honor and mourn the members of my family who served in the United States military, who have passed on. And I have two brothers who have passed on. We don't always agree with how the United States military is being used, and many people refuse to serve. But of the ones who choose to serve, they do it for the good of the country, and they do it because they believe they're helping themselves, their families, and the country. And so it's not their fault that the United States military, in many of our minds, is often misused around the world. But today we honor the dead who have died in service of the United States military. What may or may not be widely known is that the Memorial Day celebration began with the formerly enslaved people after the Civil War. The pictures on the screen show scenes from the first Memorial Day celebration. You see that it is a massive crowd out there. All of those children, those are children of the formerly enslaved people. They're singing, they're reciting the pledge, they are celebrating. They are thankful for those men who died in service of the country that finally set them free. And the way they tell it, it was very well coordinated. But as is the case with anything that Black Americans do that catches on, somebody else is always in line to take credit for it. So if you Google it, they're going to tell you that Memorial Day was started somewhere else by some white people. This caption says, and it's like somebody wants the world to really know who started Memorial Day. It says, Memorial Day was started by former slaves on May 1st, 1865, in Charleston, South Carolina, to honor 257 dead Union soldiers who had been buried in a mass grave in a Confederate prison camp. They dug up the bodies. They dug up the bodies. They dug up the bodies and worked for 2 weeks to give them a proper burial as gratitude for fighting for their freedom. They then held a parade of 10,000 people led by 2,800 black children where they marched, sang, and celebrated. Sounds like a real celebration to me. This is a white historian giving the first account of the documented celebration of the first Memorial Day. So let's let him tell it.
The Civil War had ended, just ended. Charleston had been evacuated by the Confederates back in February. The people left in Charleston, by and large, were all African Americans and Union troops, some white, some black. And the story on this narrative was people gathered on the old Planters Horse Track, the racetrack in Charleston. It was called the Washington Race Course. And they held this extraordinary parade. In the last 6 to 8 months of the war, the Confederates had converted the infield of that racetrack into an open-air prison. And about 260 Union soldiers had died of exposure and disease. And they'd all been thrown in a mass grave out behind the grandstand of the race course. We now have photos of that grandstand. The story was just almost unbelievable when I first read it. About 10,000 people marched around the old Planters race course. And the oval is still there in a park. But it said it was led by some 2,000 or 3,000 black children carrying armloads of roses and flowers and singing John Brown's Body, followed by black women, black men, and then Union troops. And they marched around the course, and then they gathered in this cemetery that had been created by local black workmen, as many as could fit into the cemetery, and they heard preaching from 5 black ministers, according to this article, and a small black children's choir sang the national anthem, America the Beautiful, and 3 or 4 spirituals. After this ceremony, broke up and went back into the infield of the old racetrack and did what most of us do on Memorial Day. They had picnics, they had a speaker's stand with speeches, the children ran around. But back around the graveyard, they had built a fence all the way around it, and they whitewashed the fence, and they had an archway, entryway, and over the archway they painted the inscription, Martyrs of the Race Course. These were the freed people of Charleston paying tribute to the Union dead. And it was their way of declaring the meaning of the war. That's the first Memorial Day.
So once again, we see how deeply entrenched we are in American history, makers of American history, creators of American history, martyrs of American history. We were here from the beginning and we are still here. So I'm going to leave you with a Black woman's perspective on Memorial Day. So listen to this.
I just wanted to hop on here with a quick reminder that Monday is Memorial Day, where we are supposed to remember fallen service members that died while in active duty service, right? I am a veteran. That is not the day that you thank me for my service. In fact, I prefer you don't thank me for my service at all. But Memorial Day is to remember those we have lost and to be grateful of the sacrifice that they made for our country, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum. So just remember that before you start thanking service members that are still alive or veterans that are still alive for their service.
Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. I'm posting this video late, but I did want to get it out before the day was over. So thanks again for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a great evening.